All righty. Hi, everybody. We are so happy to be here tonight. We are going to be talking about some home ownership goals and some good information that you're going to love hearing about. This is going to help you if you are trying to buy a house this year in this crazy, crazy real estate market. So welcome everybody. I am Melissa Haley. I am the broker owner of the North Texas Top Team Realtors, and our office serves the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we specialize in residential real estate. So tonight we're going to be talking about, here's the topic, home ownership goals for 2022. Mortgages, what home buyers need to know. So while we're waiting for everybody to jump on our Facebook Live, let me quickly introduce everybody. So tonight I have Julie Baker with me. Julie is a top producing realtor with North Texas Top Team Realtors. Hi, Julie.
Hey guys, happy to be here.
We are happy that you're here. We also have Dawn Thomas with us tonight. Dawn Thomas is the producing branch manager at Cardinal Financial, and he's helped many of our clients over the years. He's a great resource. Hi, Dawn.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. We're super excited that you are here tonight. So we're also joined by Brandy Saldana tonight. Brandy handles all of our social media activity, and she's going to be moderating the chat for us tonight. So if you are tuning in, just make sure that you put your comments in, and we'll make sure to answer all of your questions at the end of the night. And also, we're going to be posting a link later tonight for you to get some free information about the home buying process. So thanks for being here and handling all that for us, Brandy. We appreciate you.
Hey everybody, it's great to be here.
Awesome. All right. So while we're waiting for everybody to get here and to join the Facebook Live, let's just get to know our folks a little bit better. So Julie, I have known you for a long time. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you were literally born to be a realtor. Will you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that. So I'm actually a third generation realtor. So I sort of was born into the world. I've been around real estate my entire life. Even as a kid, people used to say that I was my dad's receptionist. They would call the house to talk to him because back then we had landlines, and I would answer, and I would either have to take a message for them or wait till my dad came on the line. And so now that I have my license for about 5 years, I'm pretty sure my two kids are thrilled that we no longer have landlines and that I just answer my cell phone. So they don't have to be my receptionist.
Right. I love that. That's such a great story. You know, you're like minding your own business and the home phone rings and you're like, hello, you know, Baker residents, but they don't want to talk to you. They want to talk real estate.
Exactly.
I love that. Awesome. Well, you are not only a great realtor, but you're a great resource for your clients. And you really have a wealth of knowledge about all things real estate. So we are just super excited that you're here with us tonight. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, we also have Dawn Thomas with us tonight. So Dawn, I've known you for a long time. You and I have done some leadership training and volunteer stuff, but I'll let you tell everybody. Tell us a little bit about yourself tonight, Dawn.
So, I got started in the mortgage business in 1996, working with my brother and my stepdad in the family business, as a matter of fact. From there, I worked at, both big and small mortgage companies. And I've been everything from the VP of operations to the chief compliance officer. That was fun. But, my passion has always been working with borrowers. And so I always end up back on the origination side. My current position as a producing branch manager kind of gives me the best of both worlds. I get to help direct the team of loan officers while still maintaining a relationship with my own clients. So I like it.
Awesome. Thanks, Dawn. Well, this is why you're one of our preferred lenders. I mean, you have the experience that our clients deserve, it sounds like, from one side to the other of the business.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm kind of right there with you. Compliance officer, probably not my favorite thing either. So I'm kind of right there with you. Get back in the trenches with those clients.
That's right.
Yep. So while we're waiting for everybody to join us on our Facebook Live tonight, let's just briefly chat about what's happening in the real estate market today, because that's important if they're going to try to buy a house this year. So Julie, tell me a little bit about what is going on that real estate market.
So it continues to be a very strong seller's market. In Collin County alone, there's just a little under a month's worth of inventory on the market. So in other words, that means if nothing else were to list, everything that's for sale right now in Collin County would be sold in just under a month. So as a result of the supply and demand, prices in Collin County, of course, have skyrocketed. They're up about 16.4% year over year based on the most current data that we have.
That is crazy. And that's not even just 1 month. That's, like you said, year over year. This has been going on for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Man. All right. Well, this is great information. So if you guys are just tuning in right now on our Facebook Live, we're just about to start, and our presentation is called Homeownership Goals for 2022, Mortgages, What Home Buyers Need to Know. So we're going to get that started in just a minute. And also we're going to be giving away some free home buying information tonight. So stay tuned to find out how you can get your copy of the free home buying information at the end of the night.
Yeah, well, we will be providing a link where you can get your own free copy of our home buying guide.
Okay, well, awesome. Thanks, Brandy. So for those of you who are just getting logged in, we're just about to start, so you have perfect timing. So welcome, everybody. So tonight I have with me Julie Baker. She is a top producing realtor at North Texas Top Team Realtors.
Hey, everybody. Nice to be here.
Good to see you. And we also have Don Thomas with us tonight. Don is one of our preferred lender partners, and he always does a fabulous job for our clients.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Don. We're so glad you're here. And of course, I have Brandy Saldana with us tonight, and she handles all of our social media. She's going to be moderating the chat for us tonight and making sure to answer all of your questions at the end of the night. So please keep in mind, stay tuned and stick with us. And also at the end of the day, we're going to be providing a link for you to get some free information about the home buying process. So thanks for managing all that, Brandy.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Awesome. All right, let's get things started. So today's topic is homeownership goals for 2022, right? Mortgages and what a home buyer needs to know. So we're going to be talking about this crazy seller's market that we've seen for the past year or more, and how a home buyer really can still buy a house this year. So I don't want people to be discouraged about the crazy market. And we're going to talk about some best practices for getting under contract and why buying a home this year is so important. So I know everybody's ready to learn about all this, so let's just go ahead and get started. And I think the first question that people would really want to know, let me ask this to Julie. Julie, is now a good time to buy a house?
Absolutely. So investing in real estate is always a great long-term investment. Let me ask Dawn a question though. Dawn, have you ever had anyone ask you, when is the best time to plant a tree?
I have not. So when is the best time to plant a tree?
So the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. That way the tree is grown and now gives you shade and maybe even some fruit or pecans. So guess when the second best time is to plant a tree?
I give up. So you tell me, when's the best time?
So the second best time is today. So that way in 10 years, you'll have you'll have shade and fruit.
Or pecans.
But the same concept applies to owning a home. The best time to buy a home would have been 10 years ago, but the second best time would be today.
Absolutely. I love this analogy. I love it that you're a Texas girl. You're like fruit or pecans. Like,
absolutely.
Absolutely. So homeowners are having to pay top dollar for a home right now, though, due to the limited inventory of homes that are available to purchase, right? We talked about that just a moment ago before we started. So some home buyers may be worried about affordability. And with that said, I'm just wondering, so Dawn, with affordability in mind, is now really the best time to buy a house?
Absolutely. With interest rates as low as they are, this is still a great time to buy a home. In fact, as interest rates rise, the payments will go up as well. And ultimately, you end up qualifying for less house. So that means today is actually the most affordable homes are going to be. Prices continue to rise, as Julie said, and interest rates are definitely trending up right now. And that's important because, to give you an example, at 3% principal and interest on a $300,000 loan would be about $1,265. At 4%, which by the way is still a great rate, but at 4%, the payment jumps to $1,432. So that's an increase of $167 a month. Plus, as Julie said, home prices continue to rise as well. So that makes the cost of waiting pretty expensive in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, while home prices continue to climb or have continued to climb at a rapid pace the last few years, there's actually no signs that the prices will begin to drop. In fact, with the shortage of home prices homes available, even if there was a market correction of any kind, it will only make the home prices level out. They're not going to decline, unfortunately.
Okay, so this is making sense. So if I wait, first of all, home prices are going to keep going up. And if I wait and interest rates go up, I mean, this could cost me hundreds of dollars a month, it sounds like. So, based on everything you guys are telling me, it sounds like it would be a really bad idea if I just waited. It would not be in my best interest. So let's say that someone wanted to buy a house this year. So Julie, how would somebody get started in the home buying process?
So the first step is to hire a realtor like me to help you. As your agent, my job is to truly represent you and your best interest in buying a home. And that means I will help you not only find the right home, but also negotiate the best deal possible and guide you through the complicated and stressful process of buying a home. The great news is that it doesn't cost you anything to hire a realtor to represent you because the seller pays for my fees. Another important thing that a realtor does is recommend other professionals that you will need throughout the process, like a home inspector, and of course, an amazing lender partner such as Dawn, so that you can get pre-approved for a mortgage before we ever even start shopping.
All right, well, that sounds good. So if a buyer needs to be approved, which is what you said, so they need to get pre-approved before they go shopping. So Dawn, let me ask you a question. How does someone get pre-approved to buy a house?
So first of all, the process is really pretty simple. You can complete an online pre-qualification application, or we can do it over the phone. So whatever works best for you. And we're going to ask for basic information. We're going to ask for job and income history, checking, savings account info. And it's important to have that so we know how much money you have for the down payment. And then, of course, we're going to pull credit and take a look at the big picture to see what you qualify for.
Okay, well, that sounds good. So how long does something like this take? How long does the pre-approval process take?
We can normally get that done in less than a day, like 24 hours. And the big thing, again, is there's no cost of obligation. But it's always a good idea to do that today, even if you don't intend to buy for a couple of months. And the reason we do that is we can take a look at your credit. If there's any credit issues there that you need to resolve, you've got time to do that. Or if we need to save a little more money, we can put a game plan together and make sure that we have what you need moving forward. The other thing is we can also upgrade that pre-qualification to what we call a full credit pre-approval. And that means an underwriter will actually approve the credit portion of your file. And then all we're waiting on is a property. That puts you in a much stronger position when you actually do go to make an offer.
Okay, that is some great information. Pre-qualify and then full credit pre-approval. Sounds great.
Correct.
All right. Well, I'm sure that some people tuning in today didn't realize any of this. So just let me make sure that I have a good recap here. So step one, hire a realtor. Step two, get pre-approved, and gosh, if possible, all the way through that full credit pre-approval. And so I guess then step three is just going to be to go find the house, right? To go find the right house. So I know most people just sort of start off their home search for looking at houses on those big, massive house hunting websites. So Julie, is that the best place? I mean, where should someone that wants to buy a house start looking when they're ready to find houses to buy?
Yeah, so if you're just kind of looking around, those big websites, they're fine. But when you start to get really serious about buying a home, you really need to hire a realtor. They just don't always have the most accurate information. One of the things that your realtor can do to help you is they can run searches, they can run custom searches depending on your criteria in our MLS, and it's the most accurate and up-to-date database that we have. We certainly don't want you to fall in love with a house that's not even actually for sale.
That's like worst case scenario right there.
It happened.
Oh man. All right. Well, so it sounds like it's not the best option to just search for houses on your own as a home buyer. So how does a home buyer get started in the home buying process?
So after the initial buyer consultation, we will search for homes that meet their criteria and their specific wants and needs. We'll review those homes with the buyer online and then schedule personal tours of the homes that they like. We can even do virtual tours. I know we have a ton of people moving from out of state right now that may not be able to physically see a house. So virtual tours are a great option. Then when we find the right home, we'll research the comps and help them make the most informed decision about how to move forward with the home buying process. And then, I mean, the goal is to not just help you find a home, but get it under contract.
Well, right. Absolutely. Don't want to just find it. I want to buy it. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this is really great to know. So first step in finding, to buy a house is to find and hire the right realtor to help you with your home buying process. Then to get that pre-approval with the mortgage lender. Then we need to find the right house. So knowing all of these steps, Dawn, let me ask you a question. Once they get pre-approved and they're under contract to buy a house, what do they expect next as a home buyer?
So, first, I do always encourage my clients to provide me with those supporting documents up front so we can do that full pre-approval credit process. And we do that for a couple of reasons. First, it allows me to verify the information contained in the application. So, a lot of people, I see as many people tell me they make less than they actually do as they make more than they actually do. So, there's a reason for that. The second reason we want to do that is it makes the process easier once you find that house and the wheels start turning. Believe me, you'll have enough on your plate without worrying about chasing down pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns. The remainder of that process is ordering title work, appraisals, employment verifications, and then we package that file together and we send it to the underwriter. So if you've done that full credit pre-approval, then that takes some of the steps out of the way, and then all we have to worry about is the appraisal and the title work. So we can definitely speed that up if you're completely pre-approved.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that and sort of talking about the timeline and everything. So I think it is important for a buyer to know that they need to plan in advance and plan ahead when they're thinking about making a move. So now that our audience kind of has an idea on how this is going to look and what this timeline is going to look like, and they know they need to find a realtor, they know they need to find homes, they know they need to be pre-approved. So Julie, let me send a question your way. What else does a home buyer need to do to get ready to buy a house this year?
Well, it's not just about finding the right house. So you really need to be prepared. So for example, because of the high demands that are in our market right now, things are going for more than list price more often than not. Often a home buyer will need to bring that extra cash to the closing table, above and beyond their closing costs and their down payment. So you also have some upfront costs, such as the earnest money and the option fee. And while a buyer may be able to qualify for home buyer assistance program, there are some upfront costs, such as the home inspection. This is why it's so important that a home buyer talk to a lender up front. We want to be sure that the buyer is as prepared as possible for this entire journey.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that you called it that, this journey. It's not an easy process. It's a journey.
It is indeed.
Well, it does sound like a little bit of a long process to go through that. So let me just stop real quick and let me remind everybody before we keep going. Let me remind you that at the end of the night, we're going to be giving away some free home buyer information that you might find helpful if you're planning to buy a house this year. And this will be a great resource for anybody. So stick with us. Then we're going to get you this free information at the end of the night. So let me pick back up here. So Julie, you mentioned a home inspection along with all that other stuff that's part of the journey. So once a home buyer gets under contract to buy a home, what should they expect to happen next?
So the very first thing that will, oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. Sorry. The very first thing that will happen is the buyer will need to get the option money and the earnest money delivered. That way we have an option period so that we have the right to terminate after the inspection if we need to. And once we pay those two fees, you're right, Melissa, the next step for the buyers is to schedule a home inspection. And then based on the results of the inspection, we might consider negotiating repairs or asking maybe for a financial contribution in lieu of repairs. Those are both options.
Okay, so first earnest money and option fee, then the home inspection. Of course, all of this is happening at the same time, kind of like Dawn said, you're going to have a lot on your plate. So while the buyer is doing this due diligence, I think that that's really smart, by the way. I think that's a good protection for home buyers. But Dawn, let me ask you something. So what happens in the mortgage process after the buyer is under contract?
Well, let's assume the buyer has given me all the information up front. That step's out of the way. Otherwise, we're going to be gathering all the income documentation, tax returns, bank statements, everything there. Let's say we've done that. Then what we're going to do is order the home appraisal next. And the appraisal is completed by an independent appraiser, and value is determined based on the sale price of comparable homes in the neighborhood. I'll tell you right now, appraisers are in short supply, high demand, so appraisals are taking a while. So we like to order that as early in the process as possible.
And I love it that you said they're independent appraisers. They don't work for the realtor. They don't work for the, buyer or the seller. They're independent folks that you guys work with, right? As a lender, is that right?
Yeah, so we work with them, but like as a loan officer, I'm not allowed to choose an appraiser. Federal regulations say they have to be independent, and we can't in any way, shape, or form influence them. So we actually round robin them, but we do have a panel of appraisers that we work with on a regular basis. So we know what we're getting as far as consistency in the report and the type of work they do.
Awesome. Yeah, because that's going to be important, because here's what I'm thinking, or what I'm wondering, Julie, what happens if the house doesn't appraise for the sales price?
It's a great question. So appraisals are really important. And since the appraiser determines the value for the loan, a buyer may end up bringing more cash to closing in this market. Until the housing market levels out, buyers will probably still be paying above list price. And that's why it's so important to be really prepared before you start shopping for a house. It's just so important to have an experienced realtor and a great lender on your side to just help you through all of this.
Yeah, because you were saying before, we might have to offer more than it's listed for. And now we've got to get an appraisal that comes back, and it seems very, very scary and complicated. So
it is.
I have another question. So Dawn, let me ask you something, because what if I'm a buyer and I do have this problem, right? And my appraisal didn't come in. If the buyer doesn't have extra cash to pay above the appraised value, are there any options?
Absolutely. And again, that's why we like to look at everything up front. But we have several down payment assistance programs that could be available to help supplement the buyer's cash needed at closing. So, I work with buyers that when they come in, they actually have enough money for a standard down payment and the closing cost, but they wouldn't have that extra available cash if we had an appraisal issue. So we always look at let's look at a down payment assistance program, conserve your cash, and that way you have the money if something does come up. So again, it's another option we'll look at up front.
Awesome. I'm glad that you're helping people explore all of the options because there's so much going on in this transaction, it sounds like. Man. All right. Well, tonight has been full of some really great information, and the whole home buying process does seem to me, at least from talking to both of you, that it could be very overwhelming for a buyer, but thank goodness it doesn't have to be. They've got people like you, right? So this explains why people need a good realtor, a good lender. They need folks to help them, guide them through this process when they want to buy a house. So for those of you watching tonight, if you're watching and you want more information about the home buying process, don't forget, just click on the link that's going to be in the comments there below, and that's going to help you get signed up to get our free home buyer guide. Now, Dawn and Julie, I really, really want to thank both of you for being here tonight. It sounds like you both really know what it takes to help a home buyer go through this whole process and really to get the best home for them. And so I think that not only was this helpful, but it's because there's so much more detail that we could go over that we don't have time for tonight on our Facebook Live. So I love it that you guys are both available to help folks after we're done tonight. So thank you for that. Now, Brandy, I would like to just check in real quick because there might be some people that have put some questions in the chat tonight or in the comments tonight. Do we have anything that we need to address real quick, Brandy?
Looks like y'all are doing a great job about providing people with the information that they need.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. And I know that you guys have just been such a great wealth of information. So one thing that I would like to do tonight is make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with you. So let me see if I can share my screen here real quick. And if I can find this file. Oh my goodness, y'all. I am just not that talented tonight. I was going to share something with Julie with all your contact info and Dawn with all your contact info. And I had it, but I can't, I can't pull it up and share it. Brandy, maybe you can put that information in on the comments down below so that other folks have that if they need it. But Dawn, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. And Julie, thank you so much for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate you and all of your wealth of knowledge about the real estate market.
Thank you, Melissa. It's been a pleasure being here with you and with Dawn and Brandy. So thank you.
Absolutely. And Brandy, thanks for always keeping us all up to speed. I know you made me a great graphic and I totally can't find it. So thank you, Brandy, for keeping me on track, even when I still manage to get off track.
We're all human.
That's right. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks again for joining me, and we will see you guys next time on Facebook Live. Bye, everybody.
Bye.